First and Now is back on 730 CKNW, wherever you get your podcasts. It is a presentation of World Vision Canada, national charity partner of the BC Lions. Visit bclions.com/worldvision to become a supporter. The Grey Cup playoffs are here. It's Matt Baker alongside Bob the Moj Marjanovic and Nick Kowalski. And fellas, this is what we live for, playoff time.
Let the tournament begin, baby.
Yeah, well, Moj was out at practice today. Kowalski was MIA, as the kids say, missing in action. He's got to be cooking something up in the video lab if he's missing practice.
Like
but
the mad scientist back there
in the lab, yeah. What I'm getting at with this is kind of some funky weather, a little bit of rain, a little bit of hail, a little bit of wind, but it's October. We love it, baby.
Let's go back to Regina. 19 degrees and sunny when we were there for the game.
Yeah.
Landed Saturday night afterwards, and it was like, 8 degrees with monsoon season. So very rarely can you say at this time of year that you'd rather be in Regina than Vancouver when it comes to the weather.
Well, unlike the team and the coaches and all that, I do look ahead to things, and looking ahead to Saturday, November 8th with Regina.
Whoa. What did you just say? Unlike the players and the coaches and the team, I look ahead.
Well, they're in a day-by-day mindset. They got to take care of this Western semifinal.
Well, they have to be. Yeah.
I'm looking at the Western final in Regina, November 8th, sunny and +6. So we're going to get some more good weather when we go back there in 2 weeks.
Knock on wood, yes. You said it, one game at a time, but yes, we will spend a lot of this episode, the majority of this episode, teeing up the Western semifinal, 2:30 Saturday. Get your tickets. We've announced the Upper Bowl is open. We announced that at about 4 o'clock this afternoon on Tuesday afternoon. Upper Bowl seating is open. That means ticket sales have to be going well. We're going to tee up the Calgary playoff game here, third playoff meeting in 4 years. Nathan against VA, all of that. Buck against Dave Dickinson. Buck Pierce facing his former landlord. Many people don't know that.
Carpool buddies.
Yeah, so a lot of great storylines, but the reason the Lions are in this position, starting the Grey Cup playoffs at home, is because they gutted out 27-21 victory in Saskatchewan on Saturday. We talked about it. Didn't feel like October. Always love going to Regina, the jewel of the prairies, I think.
Paris of the prairies, jewel of the prairies. I mean, you compare that to the other locales on the prairies. I mean, Regina, beautiful city, great people, best stadium in the CFL. Saskatoon, beautiful city. I love the Toon as well. And
never been to the Toon.
The Toon?
No,
tremendous. I used to go there all the time with UBC. We played at Griffith Stadium. We played the
Dask Huskies. Yeah, that's where the Riders do their training camp, I believe. But what stood out for you, Moj, in the win?
I think probably just the fact that they found a way to win. The Lions did. We're hearing this narrative that Saskatchewan was playing all their backups and, they didn't have anything to play for. Maybe to an extent, but I'll say this. The backups that Saskatchewan has, they have some pretty good depth. I mean, Aubrey Miller, Jr., linebacker, 47, he was running around making plays. Antoine Brooks, 33, another player. I mean, we know how deep they are at receiver. And here's the other thing, too. People say, well, they didn't have nothing to play for. A lot of these guys, like maybe a guy like Antoine Brooks, Jr. is trying to play and get some tape for a job next year. Maybe not in Saskatchewan, given, the depth they have at linebacker, but maybe somewhere else. So, it was a tough test, a tough environment in Saskatchewan with the fans there, but the Lions found a way to win, and that's the most important thing is, even when you're not playing your best, and I don't think we saw the Lions A game.
No.
They found a way to get the W, and to me that's impressive because that's one of the things that, when you're playing well and you don't win, that's a sign of concern. When you are not bringing your A game and you still find a win, that's a good sign.
Yeah, and at the same time, like this Lions team was facing a fourth quarter deficit, right? And I was actually talking to Matthew Shinetti at the time on the sideline, and I was kind of saying to him, like, there's no way in my mind that Nathan Rourke is going to allow this team to lose this game and have that home playoff game slip away. And Look no further than that scramble on 1st and goal to find Keon Hatcher, one of the plays of the year, in my opinion. 3 Saskatchewan Rough Riders collide in the backfield. I mean, show me another quarterback, maybe Trey Ford, but show me another quarterback that can complete the pass after that too, with Nathan throwing off that shovel pass to Keon, and Keon with a big redemption arc too. Obviously the fumble in the 3rd quarter, but they found a way, and like you said, Moj, they needed to. And to me, it was Nathan Rourke just willing that team, and then at the end, the defense getting a big 3rd down stop when, again, Jake Mayer, no slouch at quarterback, who's moving the ball quite well for the Riders.
Yeah, and very quickly expanding on the nothing to play for stuff. I mean, some of the I posted out on my X account how we feel in Lions fans after the win, and a couple of our diehards who I know pretty well, who I talk about the team. There's this idea that just because Saskatchewan had nothing to play for means they're just going to roll over and give it to the Lions. And you said it, guys have jobs to play. These guys get 18 opportunities to strap it on and play football. I don't think players themselves view it with nothing to play for. I mean, you played, you coached.
Yeah, I mean, you get into a game like that, in the standings, it means nothing. But, when you step on that field, it's about pride, right? It's about wanting to win. It's about being a competitor. You show me somebody who steps onto the field and goes through the motions in a game like that. I'll show you a guy that, is on a team that's 4-14. And, hello, Ottawa, right?
Hello, yeah.
Compared to, say, Saskatchewan. There's a reason why Saskatchewan is in first place, and it's the culture they develop. And that culture is competing at all times and going out there to win and play to the best of your abilities. And like I said, they've got some players. There's some of those guys that are, quote, second string players could easily be starters on a lot of teams in the Canadian Football League. So, again, I think the Lions found a way to win. Was it, as I mentioned during the post-game show, was it a Picasso? No. Was it the Lions' best game? Was it their A game? No. But they found a way to win. And I'll say this, they will need to play better when they go back to Saskatchewan next time around if they want to walk away with the win.
Yeah, Sask took 70 offensive snaps that game, and part of that is because the Lions were pretty efficient. Look at that Aiden Eberhardt's touchdown on the first play of the game. But Mike Benavides was talking about this too. It allowed pretty much almost the entire defense, and the Lions weren't resting starters per se. But I was looking at this after, and 13 defensive players played over 35 snaps. 18 players played double-digit snaps, and in particular, one guy I want to highlight here is a guy like Hayden Harris, who was getting, kind of welcomed back into the starting lineup. Obviously came here a few weeks ago as the team's top draft pick, but was with Buffalo for minicamp. And Hayden, he's making his impact now. He was one of those guys that got in there on that 3rd down stop to start the 3rd quarter. Mike Alway with some cleanup duty on that play, but Mike Benavides was talking here in this very spot yesterday about that. His defense plays more packages than any CFL defense, and you're seeing that now. And the beauty about it now is it's just Mike Benavides' job to find the right packages and a winner-take-all scenario coming up here.
Yep, it's all very well said, and 27-21, and yeah, rewatching the Nathan Rourke shovel pass to Keon Hatcher, initially ruled incomplete, but and Hatch redeeming himself for the fumble down on the other goal line in the 3rd quarter, and a lot of people talking about that as a big turning point. And yeah, perhaps it's a quick whistle. It happens. Did the Lions catch a break there? Yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's 12 and a half minutes in the 3rd quarter to play at that point. The game is not over. Yeah, the Lions have a hill to climb being down, 12 points, Nick? But one play doesn't always determine what happens. So.
Yeah, and shout out Aiden Eberhardt too, another 100-yard game. Finishes with 860 yards on the season, a quiet, fantastic season for, a guy that...
Never mind, that led the CFL in average yards per reception.
That's right.
And that was right on display on Saturday too, right? And I was thinking about this too. I think it's the tough one to fact check here, but all 5 starting receivers finished with over 680 receiving yards. So you talk about the depth too. Javon Catoy, some big plays right before that Keon Hatcher game-winning touchdown, and the depth of this team, it's fantastic, right? Hatcher and McInnes are your top 2 guys, but any given day it can be Berryhill with a deep touchdown. It could be Aiden stretching the field. Seems like he has a 30-yard catch every single game, and there's the odd time where Javon Catoy goes for 9 for 90 in a game, right? So it can be really anybody in this offense, and that's encouraging down the stretch.
Yeah, and we have a few minutes of time here in this opening segment. We'll tee up the Western semifinal here next, and we'll get to some trivia. We'll talk about the key matchups, the key storylines on this Tuesday playoff edition of First and Now. But statistical leaders for the BC Lions, Keon Hatcher Sr., over 1,600 yards receiving. I think it was 1,688. Am I on the right track there, Nick? He ends up a big breakout year for Hatch, and that's great to see, Moj, considering last year was coming back still from the Achilles. Great to see Hatch on top there.
Well, I mean, even last year, you look at his numbers, they were on a pretty good pace for the season, but he didn't catch a touchdown pass last year, and that a lot of times is subjective. But this year, he's just been reliable. I mean, you can count on your hands how many times he dropped a pass that was a sure-handed, catch or whatever. But it's nice to see, and I say that because both he and TJ Lee suffered those catastrophic Achilles injuries in the Western semifinal 2 years ago in Winnipeg, and to see both of them get back to where they are now, for me is it's a pretty cool thing. And I say that because a lot of times people don't realize when these guys get hurt, they're kind of on an island, right? I mean, they're doing their physio, they're by themselves, they're not around the team as much, and it's a pretty lonely, difficult road back. And even when you do start getting close, are you going to be the same player? I mean, you can say all the right things, but human nature, you're going to be thinking in the back of your head, can I be the same player when I come back from this injury? Will I be the same player? And you don't know until once you start playing. And to see these guys both enjoy the success they've had this year after those injuries, to me, that I'm happy for both of them. And again, just considering everything they had to get through to get to where they are now.
Yeah, and other leaders too that I want to shout out. I mean, Justin McInnis and Matthew Betts signed some pretty big contracts this past offseason, right? And they definitely earned those paychecks. Matthew Betts, the sack champ again with 15 sacks.
Yeah.
Justin McInnis leads all Canadians in receiving, and I think declares himself as the #1 Canadian receiver in the CFL this season. So that's very exciting for me. And then guys like the regulars too, right? Sean White leads the league in field goal percentage. That's a given at this point. Micah Alway, 114 tackles, leads the CFL. So pretty much at all phases of the game too. And one more guy to bring up, Jackson Finley. The streak continues.
Yeah,
4 interceptions, 4 starts.
That's it. And Jackson, you never like to see anyone go down. Christophe Beaulieu was talking with Ryan Rigmaiden about this, so we're speculating on who might be the West All CFL tomorrow. But if Christophe doesn't get hurt, he's well on his way to getting one of those for sure. But having the second round draft pick out of North Vancouver, Vancouver College, Western Mustangs step in has been a nice feel-good story. A couple minutes to talk about key moments in this regular season. You just mentioned Justin McInnis. In Hamilton, August 7th, what was it? A 3rd and 14 late in the fourth quarter where Nathan Rourke hit McInnis, and the first option maybe wasn't there on that play, but he hits him. Lions end up going down to score. Ticats, though, score and force overtime. But without that McInnis play, that's game over. And I think the Lions were staring at 3-6 at that point. So that's one that comes to mind for me. Any other big moments you guys can think of?
Man, it's such a blur. It really is.
Maybe a win in Montreal there?
Yeah, I mean, that comeback win, of course, was a big one. With the Sean White walk-off field goal, the Whitey field goal in Hamilton as well. Was that 41-38? Those are a couple of big things that come off the top of my head. But honestly, to me, the season is such a blur. It goes by so fast.
Indeed.
So many moments that, occurred during the course of a game, never mind a season. So, hey, I'm just focusing on the next matchup, and that's the Calgary Stampeders this Saturday at BC Place.
Yeah, and we're going to spend our next segment talking about the key storylines, quarterbacks, head coaches, a lot of playoff history with these two teams. Later on, we'll get into the meat and potatoes, some of the key matchups we're excited to look for. And can you give us a little tease, Nick? What's the trivia this week?
It's more BC Calgary history, this playoff history between the Stampeders and Lions, and see how well you guys know these classic games.
Yeah, there's been several. It'll be the 18th playoff game between these two teams.
One thing I want to
17th
add,
meeting.
we wrap up on Saskatchewan and
Yeah,
before
sure.
we get to
Yeah.
Calgary. Didn't really notice it during the course of the game. I know we talked about this. And if people are saying Saskatchewan was lying down and, they were like, not really caring about this game, that's probably one of the more physical games we've seen in the last half of the season. And I say that because, after the game, guys limping around, ice bags, limping, this, that. You guys are on the field level. You saw the intensity of that matchup. And by the way, if you don't think it was intense, check the Lions injury report for Tuesday.
Yeah, the last couple games at Mosaic, what I've noticed is that if you want to go across the middle against the Riders, you earn every single yard.
Yeah. And again, to clarify, Justin McInnes, James Butler, probably more maintenance type days. Those guys were involved out there with the offense, kind of in there listening, not over on the side rehabbing. I would expect to see Jonah Tavai back this week if all goes according to plan. So Gary Peters as well in the secondary.
LP.
So LP.
It's new nickname.
Day 3 GP. Yeah.
He gets a kick out of that.
LP,
too,
Limited Peters.
Limited Peters. Anyway, we'll get into all the key matchup areas and some storylines. First and Now is presented in part by Hullo Ferries, proud island transportation partner of the BC Lions. Go easy, go Hullo. Nothing but storylines in this Western semifinal, and we'll talk about it coming up here in just a couple of minutes on First and Now on 730 CKNW. First and Now continues on 730 CKNW on your Tuesday night. Thank you for making us part of your evening. Able Auctions pregame show 1:30 p.m. Is that correct? Saturday, Moj and Julio.
We have to accommodate everybody because of Kowalski's Blue Jays. So,
well, Kowalski has too much influence. Like he was on the phone with the commissioner, he was on the phone with Major League Baseball, and got it done.
I watched 7 hours of baseball last night, and
Kowalski, one of the many that's been blocked by yours truly on Twitter.
I'll just unblock it. I'll go back in your account.
No, unblock anybody that. By the way, I don't think I've mentioned this publicly, but anyone who's tweeting about how great the Jays are, or I should say posting now because it's no longer Twitter, but anyone who's posting about how great the Jays are and Jays this, Jays that, they just get blocked. Sportsnet, TSN, Kowalski, Big Daddy Steve Ewan, Jay Honore, all of them. Duffy, you name it. You post.
Duffy, oh, come on.
They're all
he's a good guy.
They're all blocked.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to move forward from this, Moj. I'm devastated.
Well, I'd be traumatized too, but anyway.
Anyway. Long story short, it is a 2:30 kickoff, and we just got to have the same influence as Kowalski. And
hey, can I say something very quickly?
Yeah, sure.
And I tweeted this. I hear all the time. I read all the time from fans in this town about how great of an owner Amar Doman is, and he is. Don't get me mistaken about that. He puts so much love into this team and heart and soul and cold hard cash as well. Let's show him a little love. I mean, if you appreciate what he's done for you as a fan, and I know a lot of you out there do, buy a ticket, come to the game, make this an event and not a game. And that's one thing that Amar has always talked about. He wants BC Lions games to be an event, right? And there's going to be a lot of stuff going around BC Place Stadium. We'll talk about that later in terms of, what's going to happen in terms of the promotions and stuff and fan engagement. But if you're kind of on the fence, trust me, you'll have a great time. Everyone that I talk to that finally shows up to a game, they go, you know what, I had a lot of fun. My kids had a lot of fun.
Yep.
So if you haven't been to a game in a while, check it out, and I guarantee you will not be disappointed.
And I've been looking at the 2022 and 2023 West semifinals that we hosted against Calgary, and just even watching it from the broadcast footage, just the atmosphere is different. And I've experienced this firsthand twice now with being a part of a team that's hosted 2 playoff games, and they just feel different. Like the air, the energy feels different, and looking forward to that on Saturday.
Very much so. And let's get into some more of the storylines, because part of that history is why we're excited. But let's start with probably the biggest angle of the week. We just had this twice in the final 5-6 weeks, but the fact that it's playoffs, it's winner or go home, kind of resets it. Nathan Rourke against Vernon Adams Jr. Nathan, of course, 5,290 passing yards, despite playing 2 less games than Bo Levi Mitchell. He only fell about, 6 yards short. talking about that MOP race. We'll get into that probably in future shows, but VA clearly gave the Stampeders a new identity. Just your overall thoughts on these two gunslingers going at it, Moj?
Well, it's interesting because everybody says VA versus Nathan, and if you talk to both quarterbacks, they don't view it that way. They view it as them going up against the opposing defenses. So I don't, I'm not a big proponent of this Nathan versus VA. I think both of these quarterbacks have the utmost respect for one another. So I look at more of a situation of the Lions versus the Stampeders, and I think it's going to be a great matchup. I mean, you've got a Calgary team that, has lost a couple of playoff games here in recent years, and you have a BC team that, and Rainman Baker could probably give me the dates, the scores, and all that, but BC, from what I believe, listening to JC and the guys on 3 Down Nation, has never lost a semifinal home game to the Calgary Stampeders. So.
Correct. Don't think the franchise has lost a semifinal home game, period.
Yes.
Beat Winnipeg in 16, and then there was only 2 other occasions before that where it ever happened for the franchise, which is crazy.
Here goes Rain Man.
What was I can't name the weather those days, but yeah. So the pressure's on to keep it going. You're right.
You look at this game, but I mean, we'll get into some of the matchups and stuff, but I just think it's going to be a really good football game. I mean, the Calgary Stampeders, their season's on the line. The Lions' season's on the line. So I'm really looking forward to Saturday. And as Nick mentioned, should be a great atmosphere at BC Place. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, football is a team game, right? It's not just one person versus one person who decides a football game. And speaking with Vernon and Nathan, it's not just going to be them that decides the winner of this game, but from a marketing perspective, I mean, oh boy, like the CFL should be licking their chops at this matchup, right? You got obviously Vernon's history here. I brought up the 2023 Western semifinal. That was one of the greatest games I've ever seen Vernon Adams Jr. play. So he definitely has that playoff pedigree, and he's brought it this season too. He played pretty much the full season, not really had some minor injuries, right? But took this Calgary team, and maybe it was a defense that got it done most of the year, but I don't think it's any coincidence that Vernon Adams Jr. took a Calgary team that missed the playoffs and got them to 11 wins this season. Although, like you said, Moj, it's a team effort, but I mean, at the end of the day, in the game of football,
here's the thing: it's a team game. But anyone who has played the sport, coaches the sport, I think there's maybe only other one, maybe a couple. Maybe if you have like an ace on the mound in Major League Baseball, although I don't think it really relates to what we see in football. Maybe if you have a great goaltender, in hockey. But when you have a quarterback that you believe is the guy who can lead you to victory, you have full confidence in this quarterback, man, oh man. And I'll tell you, I've been there. I know a lot of other guys have been there too. Anyone who's played the sport of coaching has been there. When you have that quarterback, you're like, yeah, we're going to get this done. But when you don't have that quarterback, that feeling is like, okay, are we going to be able to pull this out? But when you have a guy like Nathan Rourke or a guy like Vernon Adams or a guy like Trevor Harris, you name it, those quarterbacks, it just instills confidence in you. And what's the old expression? When the tide comes in, all the boats in the harbor rise, all the ships in the harbor rise along with that tide. That's what it's like having a good quarterback. He just elevates everybody else's game as well.
Speaking of quarterbacks turned head coaches, Buck Pierce making his playoff debut as a head coach against Dave Dickinson. Dave in year 10, I believe it is, with the Stampeders. And what's interesting about this is you can talk about the matchup, the X's and O's, the fact that it's two offensive geniuses, what have you. It's all true, but kind of the same trajectory. Quarterbacks both played for this franchise. We talked about it. They're friends, old carpool mates to practice back in the day, but the same trajectory. You covered Dave as a player. I did too, very in my early Cub reporting days at 1040. Did you kind of always get the sense both of these guys were cut out for the coaching transition when they were done, Moj?
When I watched him play, I never really thought of that, saying that this guy is going to be a great coach one day or this guy will be getting into coaching. But I mean, it's perfectly understandable. I mean, when you look at quarterbacks, number one, They have to have a great knowledge, a great football IQ of the game, which obviously both of these two individuals do. You have to have solid leadership skills as well. So, of course, I mean, you talk about Buck and Dave, both respected leaders when they were quarterbacks. So in that regard, they met the criteria for what was needed to be a good or a great coach. And so does it surprise me? No. Was I thinking about it when they were playing that, hey, these guys are going to be coaches down the road? Not really.
Not really,
I think
yeah.
you're just kind of caught in the moment, but it doesn't surprise me at all.
One other note about Dickinson too is he's obviously established Calgary as one of the most dominant teams of the 2010s, and they had a 18 season streak of going to the playoffs that actually got snapped the other year.
05 to 23, yeah.
So that's Dickinson's bread and butter, and he's established himself, like you said, as one of the top tier coaches in this league. And Buck Pierce is trying to pave that road too, and I think he's off to a pretty good start because it was deemed official this week that the BC Lions, because Buck Pierce is also the offensive coordinator, finished as the all-time most productive offense per play from scrimmage in CFL history. So that's just we were sitting in this room in December when Ryan Rigman said we found our guy that's going to work with our superstar franchise quarterback and Nathan Rourke to really elevate this team, and that's exactly what happened. And one more note about the whole Calgary BC connection. I know there's some games this year, maybe in Toronto. I'm thinking to myself, I don't know a single person on the Argonauts. But then when we went to Calgary on September 19th, it was like a reunion throughout warm-up, right? There's John Bowman, Adrian Green,
Yep.
Mike Allway, Dominic Grimes, Vernon Hams Jr., obviously, right? So it's not just
He's on our team.
He's with us.
well, I'm saying that reuniting back with Calgary is what I'm
Right.
So,
Yeah.
guys with history of playing for both sides. So there's a lot of ties here. It starts with Dickinson and Vernon Adams Jr., but it trickles down.
It's funny you mentioned that. We're talking about VA, Nathan, Dickinson, and Buck. Our old pal Dom Rhymes, just like you said, Rizzy Renzel, his alter ego. And, we always wish Dom luck, just not when he plays against the BC Lions. But yeah, no doubt a lot of storylines. And then we got a couple more minutes here before we break down some of the matchups in our next segment. The history, of course, very recently, back-to-back Western semifinals, 2022-2023 here in Vancouver. Both won by the Lions. The first time with Nathan Rourke. The second time with VA behind center. We did a lot of this history last year, Nick, when talking about the 70th anniversary stuff. 94 Western Final in the snow, 2000, winning it in Calgary. Just exciting to add a whole other new chapter to it, right?
Okay. I'm not letting you off the hook. Anytime you mention 94, you got to do your Cuthbert touchdown call. Because
McNiss, end zone, touchdown Lions!
that's like the best Cuthbert right there, folks. Matt Bacon.
Hang on.
doing
Let me clear my
Cuthbert.
thing. BC's going to the Grey Cup.
Bang on right there. You think
Heartbreak 2 years in a row at McMahon Stadium. And Dave Ritchie has the biggest of upsets. There you go.
Even
Right when I said that, I knew you were
Cuthbert
gonna...
has heard that when Matt was producing way back on Previous Life. And even Cuthbert was impressed. So
Yeah, we did it on air when we had him on the show, right?
Yeah, it must be the playoffs, though, because I think I've watched that clip 20 times already this week and creating content. So one of the most iconic moments in franchise history that I discovered since I started working for this club. Another one, 1964, the BC Lions beat the Calgary Stampeders in the West Finals. I say finals because it was a 2-1 series. Could you imagine if we had a best of 3 series here? We had to go to Calgary in however many days and then back to BC if necessary. It's pretty crazy what they used to do.
Well, I was getting into it earlier. The 18th playoff game coming up, but it's the 17th meeting or the 16th meeting, whatever it is, because you played 2 extra times in 64. So were you at that 94 game? You were.
I thought you were gonna ask me about
Well, yeah. Well,
No, it probably could have been. I might have been about, I don't know, 3 months. I'm born in August of 64, so I was probably
Mama Marjanovic made the trip.
No,
with,
no. 94, no, I was not in Calgary.
Yeah, and then
here's the thing, very quickly about 94.
Yeah.
So that game in Calgary, last second win, the Grey Cup, everybody remembers Louis Passaglia's field goal. People don't realize he missed with about, I don't know, minute and a half, 2 minutes left, got another chance and then connected.
Yes.
The game against Edmonton as well. The semifinal against Edmonton in 94 was decided right at the end of the game too. So 3 really great wins by the Lions team and all of them in the dying minutes.
Yeah, was it a Charles Gordon interception to set up Louis' field goal in Edmonton in '94? Damon Allen, remember, was trying to go
Here
for
he
the jump
goes,
shot.
Rain Man.
Charlie Babbitt said, yeah, Charlie
Yeah.
Babbitt said, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be massive. I know it's a word I use a lot, Nick, but we're excited to add a whole other chapter here.
I mean, I
What
look
are we
over,
laughing at now?
Never mind, babe.
Okay.
I'm just gonna leave that one alone.
All right.
Just wondering about, when you use that word. But anyway,
No grouse grind stories.
Say
All
that.
right.
Say that.
Yeah. All right.
we had the audio of that one.
And with that, First and Now is presented in part by Hullo Ferries. Go easy, go Hullo, island transportation partner of the BC Lions. We're having some fun this week. It's playoffs. Why not? We're packing the dome. Get your tickets, bclions.com. Youth ticket pricing stays the same, $19. And we want to pack this place. The Upper Bowl is open as of this afternoon. And we'll get into some of the key matchups before we wrap things up with trivia. It is First and Now on 730 CKNW. First and Now brought to you by Main Road Group, your roads, your team, connecting communities and driving our legacy. It is Matt Baker, the Moj, and Nick Kowalski teeing up the Western semifinal. Hey, very quickly, Moj, we were talking about it off air. BC Football Hall of Fame inductees a couple of weeks ago, and CKNW mainstay for a lot of years on BC Lions football broadcasts. Ron Barnett, you were catching up with Barney.
Yeah, the pride of Many Berries, Alberta. And nice to see Ron there, and had a little fun talking to him prior to the game. Went over to the Sports Hall of Fame and had an opportunity to just say hello and congratulations. But a great broadcaster in his day, did play-by-play for the Rough Riders, moved out west, did sidelines for the Lions for many years, did baseball as well. So nice to see Barney getting into the Sports Hall of Fame, and a former member of the mighty CKNW sports department back in the 70s and the 80s. And even
In the 90s.
the 80s and the 90s mainly, but not as much 70s.
Driving to school, my mom driving me to school every morning, CKNW was just on the dial, and always loved listening to the sports. Obviously, and that's very, very well earned, and always love inviting some of the media legends back in. Saw a few throughout the course of the year, and congratulations to Barney. He'll be tuning in, I'm sure, this Saturday, 2:30 kickoff. Able Auctions pregame show 1:30. Moj and Julio. We're going to talk about some of the key matchups now. Of course, we've talked about the quarterback thing, the head coaching storyline, but you go into the trenches. What's an area you're looking at
where
here?
it starts at, baby. The defensive line in Calgary's got a formidable front. There's a lot of debate going on whether or not Clarence Hicks should have got the nomination over Hutchings for their defensive player of the year. Hutchings' totals went down as the season kind of wound down, but it doesn't mean he's not a good player. It just means he's got a lot more attention, particularly with Orimolade being knocked out of the lineup due to injuries. So all of a sudden, those double teams now shifted from Orimolade on the edge and Hutchings getting the sacks to the double teams on Hutchings and then Hicks getting the sacks. So for me, I like this matchup from the Lions' perspective, because I think if you can double up Hutchings and take care of business in the interior, with your three linemen there, I like the matchup between Broxton and Hicks on that side, or Dejon Allen as well, depending on who Hicks lines up against. So I like the one-on-one matchups there. I think that bodes well for the Lions. So I look at that. And defensively, I think the Lions need to get back to getting a little bit more pressure on the quarterback with just 4. We didn't see as much as we probably would have liked against Saskatchewan, but getting Baby Tavai back this week will be a huge help up the middle. So again, I always say it boils down to the trenches. You ask any coach, they'll tell you the same thing. So I think the Lions will have to do a better job in terms of what they did on offense, in terms of the offensive line. And conversely, I think defensively, they got to do a better job in the trenches as well.
Yeah, Moj, you're looking at the trenches and can't argue there, but I'm looking toward the more sexy area of the game, the big plays. We call When Nathan Rourke plays Edmonton, we call that Nathan week. It's Keon Hatcher week when it's against Calgary, because here are Keon's totals in his last 6 games against Calgary: 162 yards, 195 yards, 170 yards, 97 yards, 147 yards, and 112 yards. So for those doing the math, not wanting to do the math at home, that's 833 yards for Keon Hatcher in the last 6 games against Calgary. And that's an area of focus right now for the Stampeders too. Looking at their day one injury report, Anthony Johnson, a big corner that they've had at the boundary all year, he was a full participant, so he's probably going to be back after missing 2 games. Sheldon Arnold was a boundary halfback. He's been out since week 14, but he's been a full participant. And that positions the boundary halfback spot in Calgary's been a turnstile. You can go back and watch the broadcast footage to hear what Justin McInnes and the receivers thought about those replacement candidates for Calgary. But that's going to be huge if Calgary can get Arnold and Johnson back on the boundary side. But they might not be getting everybody back, because Damon Webb is still a DNP. So if you're a Lions fan, if you're Buck Pierce or whoever, I know you worry about yourself, but that's something to definitely monitor as the week progresses here.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see. We've talked about this improved Lions defense and haven't lost since TJ Lee got reactivated. Robert Carter Jr. having a solid rookie year. I'm interested to see how this young secondary matches up with Calgary's playmakers on the side of things. Clark Barnes, a guy that has done some damage. We've talked about Dominique Rhymes. Mario Alford Damien Alford. We just saw Mario in Saskatchewan. You're right. Is that they call Damien the Moose, right? So he was on a pretty good pace in the first half of the season when Calgary was starting well. That's an intriguing area for me, Moj. This Lions secondary, can they keep that up?
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Alford, because I heard Dave Dickinson speak a couple of weeks ago prior to when we played them, and he said that they need to get him more involved. And you look at that height, what is he, 6'4", 6'5"?
Yeah.
That size, maybe they get a mismatch somewhere that they'll like to utilize. But the other thing, too, with Alford, all he does is run streaks, right? So for the most part, hopefully for the Lions, they'll be able to neutralize that threat. But I also look at Dedrick Mills as well as being a guy that you got to stop. He's a very good running back, led the CFL in rushing this year. And don't go to sleep on his backup either, Ludwig Choquette. I remember seeing this kid in Langford in the exhibition season, and I said, this guy's pretty good. And we saw some of the numbers he put up as a sub, as a backup for most of the year. And I think averaging well over, 6-7 yards a carry. So he's another guy that you got to watch out for. I mean, they do have some weapons on offense, but, conversely, I think the Lions defense has, like I said, been much improved over the course of the last 5-6 weeks during this stretch. And we'll see how they match up against Calgary. They'll have to bring their A game, and hopefully they do.
One more from me too. It's a football cliche, but making it second and long for Calgary, right? I think we saw that in the 2 matches this season against Calgary, and that was a big reason why the Lions got ahead early and kept those leads, is because when you get into second and longs, that Glenn Suter kept talking about it on the broadcast last week against Saskatchewan, but that's an area where Matthew Betts thrives in, right? And looking back at that October 4th matchup with Calgary, the Lions had 6 sacks in that game. 2 of those first 3 came on 2nd and 9 or longer, right? So that's
you look at back. That's even a thing for the Lions on offense. I mean, they were doing so great in terms of first down yardage until they rolled into Regina, and I can't remember a game in which they faced so many 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10s. The running game never got established in that game against Regina. I think that'll be a big key for Buck Pierce and companies to reestablish the running game, get into those manageable second down situations where you're 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4, rather than 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10. And conversely, if the Lions offense can put some points on the board, make this into a track meet, make this into a game with a lot of points, now Calgary, they got to play. They've got to meet that, and maybe you take Dedrick Mills out of the game at that point. So that's the other thing too that I think bodes well for the Lions. If they can make this into a track meet, and all of a sudden you take Mills out of the game.
Yeah, I'm having flashbacks now. Remember the 2022 Western Semi when Kadeem Carey was the guy in the backfield, and all you heard about all week, they got to stop the run. How are they going to stop the run? How are they going to contain Kadeem Carey? Was a non-factor in that game. So you talked about making it second and long. Dedrick Mills now, the CFL's rushing title he had this year, keep him in check. We're talking about Jonah Tavai earlier and some of those guys up front on the defensive line. That running game, zeroing in on that and forcing VA to go long, that's a big key to success.
Yeah, and we've seen VA kind of get into trouble at certain points when he starts pressing, and that's the one thing that you want. The one thing too that I think to be very cognizant of early in the game, it's a running joke between VA and his dad, Vernon Adams Sr.
Yes.
And we talked about this all the time when VA was here. His dad always tells him, you got to run. And, running early in the game kind of gets you a little bit more engaged. It also puts the defense on notice that, you have to be disciplined in terms of your pass rush lanes. And maybe you can't take as many liberties as you could in terms of how you rush the passer if he's a quarterback who doesn't like to run. So that's something to be cognizant of early in this game is keep VA in the pocket and don't allow him to escape for a couple of nice runs.
And going through the West, that just means you're going to have to face a guy like Dedrick Mills. And then if you win, you're going to have to go face an offense led by AJ Ouellette in the backfield, right? And these are big bruisers and, make you earn it. And that is why back on February 11th, you saw this team go get Micah Alway, Deontay Williams, Dwayne Hendricks, right? These run-stopping, physical front seven guys. And, when everything goes down on the field on Saturday, that's why you got those guys out there.
All right, we will key in on this Lions Stampeders history one more time with Nick Kowalski's trivia to wrap things up on First and Now on 730 CKNW. First and Now, wrapping things up on a Tuesday night, playoff week. Let's go. Let's go play this game right now if we want to. Anyway, but we can't do that until we get to the meat of the show, Nick Kowalski's trivia. And I'm looking at the game board here, Nick. I'm sensing a theme already.
Yes. Before we get there, though, producer Jordan wanted me to ask you guys this question.
Okay.
So yesterday we had a 6.5-hour baseball game, right? Can you guys name the
Monday for those listening after Tuesday? Yes.
Correct.
Great.
Yeah, the game through the World Series. Can you guys name the longest CFL game ever?
Was it one that was delayed by weather, Winnipeg and Edmonton that one year? No.
I think officially that's the right answer, right, producer? Yeah. The unofficial answer would be the Mud Bowl. Because the fog
bowl. They had to play it the next day, right?
Toronto and Calgary, right?
Yes, because it got delayed for a full day. So that would be the answer to that. But yes, like you alluded to, Matt Baker, we are going back into the Calgary BC playoff history. The question I have for you guys, and this dates from 1991 to present day, because in 1979, the BC Lions did not score a touchdown against Calgary in the playoffs. And those 60 games, good luck finding box scores. So from 1991 until 2023, name me the 19 BC Lions who have scored a playoff touchdown against the
G. Roy Simon.
G. Roy Simon is an incorrect answer mode. You're 0 for 1.
Ooh, wow.
Baker, your guess.
I already did the Cuthbert. We can say it again. Darren Flutie.
Darren Flutie had 3.
We taking turns here? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah,
I will go with Matt Clark.
Matt Clark is an incorrect answer mode.
Okay.
It goes 2022, 2023, so I think there's some obvious.
Keon Hatcher Sr.
Keon Hatcher Sr. is one who has scored
from Antonio Pipkin, right?
And then he scored in 2023 before the half as well. So
okay, I'm going to go last guess here. Oh, this one's easy. Corey Philpott.
Incorrect.
What?
Against the Calgary Stampeders.
For 94 guys. Okay, I'm going to go. I get another bonus one because I'm old. Ray Alexander.
No, just a bad start.
4.
You're
scored 94 then.
Darren Flutie had 3. And the running back is the other person who scored.
Well, that's what Corey Philpott was.
Sean Millington.
Sean Millington, 1994.
Okay.
And Sean Millington is also correct for 2000. Yep.
Western Final.
Go ahead, Bakes. You got
1991.
You've got about 3 in a row.
No Matt Clark, no Ray Alexander. Who would have had it in 1991?
You got a quarterback and a running back.
Doug Flutie.
Doug Flutie is the quarterback who scored.
Running back. John Volpe.
John Volpe had 3 touchdowns in the 1991 playoff game.
He had 3, and they lost that game.
He is one of 3 players who have 3 touchdowns in a game against the Calgary Stampeders in the playoffs. The other came in 2023.
McInnes.
Justin McInnes is an incorrect answer.
Is it VA?
Vernon
Yeah.
Adams Jr. had 3
I
touchdowns.
remember this because I had to get him to do the TSN halftime interview, and that's rare for quarterbacks because I remember he had a. Okay.
He had a day, yeah. So you got 2016, 2012.
Rhymes.
Dominic Grimes is an incorrect answer. Moj. I know you throwing this?
I want to say Damon Allen had one in 99. Did
Damon Allen in 99 is a correct answer.
Yeah.
How about Robert Drummond in 2000?
Robert Drummond is not a correct answer.
Eric Carter, 2000.
Eric Carter, the only
There you go.
defensive player on this list, 2000.
Go ahead, make some down.
How many more we got here?
You got 2016, you got 2. 2023, you have 2. Oh, sorry,
2012. Oh, I remember there was another pick six 2012. Was it Corey Banks?
Corey Banks.
Yeah.
There you go.
Kevin Glenn threw the pick six.
No
The Lions
clue.
lost.
No
that game.
memory of that. None.
Yeah.
I've blocked the 2016 West Final from my memory because it was just a
tough one.
blowout. But we scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, receiver and a hybrid. Hybrid should be a giveaway.
The hybrid, Chris Rainey.
Chris Rainey is that hybrid player.
And a receiver, was it Sean Gore?
Incorrect.
Okay.
What year?
16. Go chalk here is my advice.
Oh, chalk?
Yep.
Claremont.
2016 star receiver.
Do I get Jason Claremont?
Jason Claremont's not
Not in
correct.
2016.
Moj, you might be. Are you throwing this?
Manny Arsenault.
Manny
There
Arsenault
you
is
go.
correct.
You
There
said
go.
star receiver. It gave it away.
So you got 1 from 23, 2 from 2022. 2012, you have another receiver.
So who we're missing? Oh, 22. JB had a big game.
He did not score, though.
Did not score. I thought he scored.
2022 and 2023 are all receivers.
Brian Burnham
Brian Burnham is 2022.
How about Stanback?
Stanback did not play the Calgary
did not
Stampeders.
play.
Oh, that's right. It's
Yeah.
Saskatchewan. That's the one.
we have another receiver in 2022.
Yep.
And Brian Burnham was the first. Keon Hatcher, we've already said. Oh, Dom Rhymes.
Incorrect.
No.
How about Nick Moore?
Nick Moore. There you go. On the board. 2012.
Hey!
Marjanovic in the 18th inning gets on the board. All right.
2012. You also have a receiver in 2000. You have a
2000.
receiver. You have receiver and a running back in 99. I believe the other one's a running back.
Give us some initials.
A DB for receiver in 99. JC for receiver in 2000.
JC, like Jason Claremont?
No.
Nope.
Claremont was a rookie in 02.
That's a good one,
there.
right, man.
Actually, no.
Give me the Jet Cunningham.
Give me the Jet
There you
Give me
Cunningham
the
score.
chat. There you go. That's a
2000. And then I'm 99 RH.
RH.
Paris Jackson involved anywhere? Nowhere?
He's not.
No.
I appreciate the efforts, Moj, but you don't got that one. 2022 AH receiver.
Alexander Batman Hollins.
Yes, he scored the first touchdown of that game. 23 is this guy is still in the team. He's a receiver. He opened the score. He opened the scoring for the Lions
In 2023.
Yep.
And we have Hatcher already.
McInnes.
McInnes. No.
Nope, you guys are blanking here. The forgotten man always be saying this offense.
Katoy.
Javon Katoy
Javon,
open the
big
scoring.
bat. Yes.
2001. This is a receiver. I believe it was his only touchdown in CFL. Period.
We're up against the clock here, so let's reveal him. 2001, we had
Mel Long. Do you guys know
does
that?
not remember.
clue.
No.
Mel
And then,
Long.
Now, if Rain Man doesn't remember him, like
he's obscure,
I'm
yeah.
all right.
99, who we got?
DB would be Don Blair
Oh, of course. The
Field
face,
stand.
Playoff
the
performer.
shield.
Yep.
That's
and RH.
going to kick me.
Rod.
Rod.
Harrod.
Okay, there you go.
So there's your list.
Oh, he did
19
pretty
BC
good, yeah.
Lions. From
Yeah.
1991 till present day.
And who will shine on Saturday? Well, we'll do this trivia again in a couple more years.
I
And
played against Don Blair.
yeah, Calgary
Calgary,
Dino, right?
yeah.
He was a stud in the Vanier Cup, and what was it,
But I don't know
95?
if I played against him. I
You would
coached
have coached against
coached
him,
against
right?
him,
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Able Auctions pregame show, 1:30 Saturday.
Correct.
Moj and Julio, we
Yes.
look forward to hearing what's in store post-game. Hopefully it'll be a happy group of post-game interviews, and always look forward to the content. By the way, Arrow Up Cinematic Recap Saskatchewan,
Great job.
YouTube. Check it out.
Kowalski, check out his work. And by the way, people, if you're listening, make it an event Saturday.
Yeah.
Show Mark Doman a little love. Come
Get
out
your
to the game.
tickets.
Say thank you, Mr. Doman, for what you've done. We're gonna support you. Show up to the game and have some fun. I'll tell you what, you will not be disappointed.
Upper Bowl's open. That means the tickets are going well. And we're back next week, hopefully teeing up a Western final in Saskatchewan. Thanks for listening. Thanks to our producer, Jordan Dowler Coltman. And we're back next week on First and Now. All right, our weekly bonus segment for those listening on the podcast, and plenty to discuss as well as far as Lions. And for that, we bring in Cam Tucker from PlayNow.com and BCLC. Cam, how are you?
I'm doing good, fellas. It's playoffs are here finally. Let's get this thing going. Yeah, this is what you play for. And the Lions have been playing some really good football right now. Hottest team in the league going into the playoffs. So it's it's time to get it going.
Let's go. Yeah, energy's good around here. We're trying to fill this stadium, trying to pack the dome. Upper Bowl is open. And hey, we get a win and some good boosts. It'll be all that more exciting. As always, most of the time anyway, we do this. We'll start talking about the current line. BC opening as a 4.5-point favorite, but that could be shifting a bit. Cam, explain.
Yeah. When I looked at this yesterday, looked at our opening line, Lions, as you said, Matt, opened as 4.5-point favorites. No surprise. And then today when we looked, they had shifted to 5-point favorites. So, we're going to see where this line ends up by kickoff on Saturday. My gut says it's probably going to move closer to the Lions as we get closer to the weekend. And right now, one of the indicators that we look for is where is that early action coming from? And the early action right now is on the BC Lions. 60% of the bets that we saw were on the Lions minus 4.5. And we're not just talking, obviously the majority of the bets, but some of the bigger bets that we've seen are coming in right now on the Lions as the favorites. So that's an indicator right there that line could shift, towards the Lions even further. And right now, looking at the money line, the BC Lions minus 245 just to win the game. And we saw 80% of the bets that have come in since the lines opened yesterday. 80% of the bets are on BC to win. And that's really no surprise given the damage that the BC Lions have done to the Calgary Stampeders in 2 matchups this year. They weren't really close. The Lions dominated both. Looking at 527, net yards of offense against Calgary in September. You follow that up 2 weeks later, the Lions fell just short of 500 net yards offense. So really some very dominant performances from BC. So, no surprise that the Lions are favorites. My gut's telling me that it's, that line is still going to shift towards the Lions as we get closer to kickoff. And, Calgary's got a tough task. They could not shut down the BC Lions offense in those 2 matchups. You look at the BC Lions, they were able to run the ball. They were able to pass the ball. It was like every facet of their offense was clicking at an elite level. And that's the big challenge that Calgary is going to have going into this matchup is what can we shut down with this BC Lions offense? If you take away one, the Lions can hurt you with the other. So it's a really difficult matchup for Calgary. It's shaping up nicely for the Lions. And, we'll see how it plays out on Saturday.
In Cam, division semifinal weekend obviously means that we're down to the final 6 teams. So the Ottawa Redblacks, Edmonton Elks, Toronto Argonauts, their names are out of the Grey Cup futures conversation. But where do the BC Lions rank right now when it comes to the Grey Cup odds alongside the other 5 teams remaining who are vying for that Grey Cup?
Yeah, right now the BC Lions, the 4th best odds at PlayNow plus 550. And, we've seen this line kind of shift between plus 400 and plus 600, for the better part of a month. I think that's where the Lions are quite frankly, that's where they're likely to be, for the rest of the playoffs. Like, I think that if they win this week, they're still going to be behind the Saskatchewan Roughriders for the Grey Cup odds going into next week. They really have to get past Saskatchewan, I think, in order to be like the favorites. But hey, for people out there looking at the Lions, you're getting the hottest team in the league at the, in the 4th spot on the board. that's not too bad. You'll kind of take that, right? It's really interesting. No surprise. We see this when it comes to some of the local teams. The Vancouver Canucks are one of the most heavily bet on teams to win the Stanley Cup every year. Right now, we're seeing this with the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays were a very popular World Series bet throughout the course of the MLB season. The Seahawks, we see this when the Seahawks are trending upwards. Locally, you're just going to see a higher proportion of the action is going to be on the local team, in this case, the BC Lions, to win the Grey Cup. And we've seen that with, about 27% of the total bets are on the Lions to win. And you look at the X factor, I think their defense is playing very well lately, much improved, obviously, from what we saw in August and September. But then you look at the offense, what's the X factor? It's Nathan Rourke. I think he can build a very strong case that he's the best quarterback, maybe the best player in the CFL, and he's playing at an elite level. And when you go into the playoffs and you have a player like that on your side, that certainly puts you in a really good position for success. So for the Lions, you know what? The hottest team in the league, they've got the fourth best odds to win the Grey Cup. It's no surprise that the people that are wagering on this believe that the BC Lions right now are a good pick. And it's really interesting breaking it down. There's no Eastern bias here. The two Eastern teams are the least bet on teams to win the Grey Cup going into this week. It's the BC Lions is number one, Winnipeg is number two, Saskatchewan is number three. So I think a lot of bettors believe that not only are the Lions the team to bet on, but they're looking at the West Division as the West Division teams as the ones that have the greatest chance of winning a Grey Cup this year.
Some very good insight there, Cam. And finally, the Lions obviously have to be on their A game come Saturday. You will be too, because you got your odds boost cooking up, right? And what you got so far?
Yeah, I think we're still cooking it up right now, but I like Keon Hatcher in this matchup. Absolutely dominant season for the BC Lions receiver. But then you look at what he did to Calgary, 140 yards in, I think it was week 16. 2 weeks later, he follows it up with another 100-yard game. Like, this guy just had his way with the Calgary Stampeders defense. And what a remarkable season for him. I was looking at this. You have to go back all the way to week 10 of the CFL season when he did not hit 50-plus receiving yards in a game. Like, that is just unbelievable. The consistency, the domination over the defenses. I think it's like week 11. Since week 11, he had one game where he didn't hit 70 receiving yards in a game. Like, that is outstanding. What a season for him. So we're definitely going to look at Keon Hatcher receiving yards as part of that odds boost. And I think the other one is we're going to look at Nathan Rourke, some passing props, either touchdowns or passing yards. Because he had some great games against Calgary too. He threw for over 400 yards in week 18 against the Stamps. And then I think that we are going to tie these props to a result and likely the money line. So, you're looking probably at one or two player props and then, the BC Lions money lines to tack on there. And we'll have that boost ready for Friday at PlayNow.com.
All right, Cam, love this stuff. And we hope to keep this going next week as well. Can't wait.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. We'll see you boys. Should be a fun one on Saturday.
Cam Tucker, as we wrap up First and Now, all of your great lines for the Western semifinal and the CFL. Grey Cup odds, of course, always going to be shifting this time of year. We're back next week on First and Now.